not only a promise, it was also a warning bell, ringing for every weary soul standing at the very edge of breakthrough. Have you ever realized how many people walk a long road of faith, only to let go of the blessing at the final doorway? Not because they never believed, but because they became too exhausted to believe one more time. They think I have forgotten them, when in truth, I am completing what I began. People lose heart when silence stretches too long, when promises have not yet become reality, and when prayers seem to remain unanswered. But my child, faith is not measured by how far you have walked. It is measured by how faithfully you hold on until the very last moment. Many souls stop just short of their miracle because they forget that my clock is never slow. It simply moves according to a rhythm different from yours. Can you hear it? The spiritual clock is counting the sacred breaths of time, and every second is whispering, the hour is near. Yet the world remains loud. People stay distracted, living as though they have endless tomorrows. They delay. They postpone belief for another day, not realizing that every hesitation shortens the opportunity before them. The time I have appointed is not a vague idea. It is a sacred appointment I wrote before you were born. The dreams in your heart, the quiet stirrings you cannot explain, the tears that fall for reasons you do not fully understand, none of these are accidents. They are reminders from me that time is not as abundant as you imagine. Still, many dismiss them as fleeting emotions, only to realize too late that they have walked past a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will never return. My child, what grieves me most is not seeing you weak. It is seeing your heart grow cold when I am so close to completing a miracle for you. On the path of faith, very few give up at the beginning. Most begin with passion, hope, and tears. But many collapse near the end, when the light has already begun to shimmer on the horizon. The enemy knows it cannot stop my hand, so it tries to pull you away from the place of waiting. It makes you tired, distracted, and doubtful. It fills your heart with noise until you no longer have enough stillness to hear my voice. And when you sink into that weariness, you begin to loosen your hold on what I am about to place in your hands. You may think you are only resting, but in truth, you are stepping away from the company of those who will witness the miracle. Many live as if tomorrow will always be waiting for them, while in heaven the hands of my clock have already begun to move. Still, they imagine they have countless chances. They chase work, plans, ambitions, and dreams, yet few pause long enough to ask, where am I in God's plan? I have knocked on the doors of their hearts many times through circumstances, through warnings, through dreams that seemed meaningless, but they keep saying, not yet, it is not time. My time is not a figure of speech. It is a real appointment, fixed before you ever came into the world. And when the call goes out, if you do not respond in time, you may find yourself lost inside the very life I once designed for you. Every invitation from me is not a temporary offer. It is a door that opens in its appointed season. To miss today is to turn away from an entire season of blessing that has long been prepared for you. Remember this, I am never in a hurry, but I am never late. When my appointed time comes, I desire to find you ready, not tangled in distraction, not bound by the noise of the world, not asleep at the edge of your miracle. Do not wait until tomorrow to believe, because tomorrow may never come. My beloved child, have you ever paused long enough to listen to your own breathing? That rhythm is counting the seconds I have entrusted to you. I see you busy, hurried, and consumed by what you believe is important, unaware that behind all those urgent things, my time is quietly passing by. You are absorbed in building your life, caring for every small detail, chasing what feels necessary. Yet you forget that something greater than all of it is at stake, your life in me. When I declare, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. I am reminding you that obedience is not for someday, it is for today, not tomorrow, not when life becomes easier, not when you feel more ready. Today. Yet many still delay. They allow the noise of everyday life to drown out my gentle call, until they finally realize that tomorrow no longer belongs to them. My child, I understand your heart. I know how often you want to rest a little longer, postpone a little more, and wait for a more convenient time before giving me your whole heart. But you do not realize that every "I will do it tomorrow" is one more step taken away from me. The devil does not always need to push you into great sin. Sometimes it only needs to whisper, there is still time. It does not have to steal your faith in one dramatic moment. It only has to delay your faith until the door has closed. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And sometimes he does not need force at all. He only needs distraction. With enough delay, enough noise, and enough hesitation, you may lose by your own hands the very opportunities I prepared for you, my child. I do not condemn you for being weak. What concerns me is when you become so accustomed to weakness that you no longer desire to rise again. I have given you many awakenings, the restless nights, the moments that shook your heart, the dreams that seemed to carry no meaning. All of them were my gentle touch upon your soul, reminding you that I am still waiting. But too often you treat them as coincidences. You comfort yourself with the excuse, perhaps it is not the right time yet. What you do not realize is that the time is precisely today. My timing is not measured by earthly clocks, but by the rhythm of heavenly purpose. For I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope. I have never stopped preparing good things for you, but I need you to show up at the hour I have appointed. Every time you postpone, you are the one arriving late to what I have already prepared. My child, I know there are moments when your heart grows weary because the road feels too long and your prayers seem unanswered. But trust me, you have never been forgotten. I am teaching you to walk by faith, not by feelings. Feelings change. Faith keeps you standing when everything around you seems to collapse. Can you see it now? Throughout the years, it was often in the moments that felt like my silence that I was quietly rearranging your life. If I allow your spiritual clock to move more slowly than others, it is because I am teaching you the value of waiting with me. With the Lord, one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like one day. My time is not late. It is simply different. And that difference exists, so you may learn to believe even when you cannot yet see. My beloved, the world will always make you believe you have endless chances, that this failure can be repaired later, that this mistake can be undone another day, that this calling can wait. But some opportunities come only once in a lifetime. And when I knock, I long for you to open at once, not to say, "Let me prepare a little more." Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. But I do not knock forever, because I honor your will. And if you keep staring only at what you are losing, you will miss what is coming. My child, I do not need you to be perfect. I only need you to be willing. When you are willing, I will take care of the rest. There are people to whom I once entrusted a calling. Their hearts once burned for me, but over time, their fire slowly faded because they told themselves, "I will live for him again when the time is right." But the fire of the Holy Spirit does not wait for a more convenient season. When I breathe life into your soul, I desire for you to guard that flame, even if it is only a small flicker in the darkness. Do not compare yourself to anyone else. My timing for each person is different. I only ask that you do not allow complacency to extinguish the fire I placed within you. Do not quench the Spirit. When you protect even the smallest flame, you will watch me turn it into a torch that lights an entire harvest. My child, some people think they are truly living, when in reality, they are asleep in the busyness of life. They may not be committing obvious sins, but they no longer hunger for me. They go to church, but their souls have been far from me for a long time. I look upon them with sorrow, because the light within them is fading like a lamp running out of oil. Remember my words. Keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. Watchfulness is not fear. It is keeping your spirit awake, alive, and ready, so that whenever I come, you will not be ashamed or afraid. You will smile, knowing your heart is prepared. My beloved child, do not let busyness kill your intimacy with me. I do not rebuke you for having responsibilities. I know you live in the midst of this world, but it grieves me when you give your time to everything and everyone except me. When I awaken you with a nameless emptiness, that is my invitation for you to return. Do not try to fill it with work, relationships, achievements, or distractions. Only I can fill that void. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. If you put me in the right place, you will see everything else fall into its rightful place. My child, look back over your life. How many times have you promised you would change? How many times have you said you would return only to forget again? I do not remind you of this to condemn you. I remind you to show you that I am still waiting. It is never too late to come back. But do not wait until your heart has grown completely cold before you seek me. I do not need grand promises. I only desire the first step, the one step you dare to take toward me. Like the father waiting for his prodigal son, I am standing at the beginning of the road with my arms still open wide. You only need to turn around. The rest I will do. And when you return, you will realize that all the clocks I placed in your life, the crises, the delays, the wounds, and even the waiting, were all ways of teaching you to value the sacred time you have been given. Every second I give you is an opportunity to love, to forgive, and to live fully in my will. Do not waste it in procrastination or indifference. For one day, that clock will stop. And when it does, what remains will not be how much you owned, how much you achieved, or how busy you were. What will remain is the love you gave me and the life you lived in, obedience to my voice. Therefore, my child, wake up. Do not wait for a clearer sign. Every sign you need has already been given in your heart, in your circumstances, and in my word. Take a step, even if it is small. Every step you take toward me is one more step away from the darkness. Like the sower who knows the harvest is near, stand up, because your season is approaching. And as you begin to walk, you will discover that the spiritual journey is not only about how far you go, but about keeping your heart awake in the middle of distraction. Sometimes the real danger is not that you have not started. It is that you are walking in the right direction while slowly allowing your heart to fall out of rhythm. My child, there is something I want you to engrave deeply in your heart. The most dangerous part of the spiritual journey is not when you are weak. It is when you think you are almost there. When you stand in the final stretch, where just a little more perseverance would bring you into the promise. That is, when the enemy launches its fiercest attack. He does not always strike with obvious sin. Sometimes he attacks through weariness, discouragement, comparison, and the noise of the world. I have seen so many souls stop at the very door of their miracle because they no longer had the strength to wait one more hour. But my child, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. I do not want you merely to begin with fire. I want you to finish in light. I understand that you have endured many trials. I know there are times when you feel I take too long to answer. You pray, you believe, then you wait. And the longer the waiting continues, the colder your heart seems to become. That is when you begin to look at others and ask, why does God answer them quickly but not me? In that moment, the seed of comparison is planted, and slowly it begins to grow into bitterness. My child, faith is not a race to see who receives first. It is a personal journey between each soul and me. I have a unique plan for every person, and no one is late who is still walking in my will. Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not give up. I want you to learn endurance even when no one applauds you. In that hidden place, I am testing whether your love is truly genuine. When you feel exhausted, do not struggle alone. Stop and sit at my feet. Let me pour new strength into you. Sometimes I do not ask you to run faster. I simply ask you to be still in my presence. Be still and know that I am God. The world teaches you to be strong and persistent by your own effort. But I teach you that true strength comes from knowing how to be weak in me. You do not need to pretend you are fine. You do not need to hold back your tears. I know everything. I hear every sigh you release. I feel every trembling inside you. I am not far from you in your weariness. I am right there, waiting for you to lift your head so I can help you stand again. But my child, understand this as well. Distraction does not always come through pain. Sometimes it comes through pleasant things, a compliment, an opportunity, or a small success. Even good things can pull you away from the place where I have positioned you. The enemy is subtle. He knows he cannot stop me from blessing you, so he tries to lure you away from the place where blessing is being poured out. He makes you believe you must do a little more, prove yourself a little more, or earn what I already affirmed over you long ago. So you begin chasing what is good while forgetting what is right. No one can serve two masters. You cannot chase the applause of people and keep your heart pure before me at the same time. You must choose quiet obedience in my will or the restless noise of the world. I see you, my child, when your heart grows heavy in the middle of the road. I see the days when you want to let go, not because you no longer believe, but because you have waited so long. I understand. But I want you to remember that every true miracle needs time to sprout. Like a seed buried in the soil, it must endure darkness, stillness, pressure, and waiting before it breaks through into the light. If you give up in the middle of the process, you will never see the golden grain you once prayed for. Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. My child, your tears are not wasted. They are watering the harvest that is coming. I want you to understand that exhaustion does not mean you have failed. It only means you need me more than ever. When your hands tremble, take hold of mine. When your knees are weak, kneel down. Sometimes victory is not found in standing tall, but in knowing where to kneel. For when you are weak, then I make you strong. Your strength does not come from your own willpower. It comes from your surrender to me. Surrender is not defeat. It is allowing me to win on your behalf. There are storms you are facing now that are not meant to destroy you, but to refine what is truly real within your heart. I allow you to pass through trials not because I delight in your pain, but because I want you to learn to love me even when you hold nothing in your hands. When you remain faithful while seeing no visible miracle, that is when you yourself are becoming the miracle. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. I have not forgotten a single prayer you have spoken. I am only waiting for your heart to become large enough to receive what I am about to give. My child, do not fear when you feel weary. Weariness itself is not the greatest danger. The danger is allowing weariness to kill your faith. Rest in me, but do not leave me. There is a difference between resting and quitting. Resting allows you to regain strength. Quitting means refusing the journey I have marked out for you. Learn from Jesus. Though exhausted on the cross, he still declared, "It is finished." He did not stop because he was weak. He stopped because he had completed everything. I want you to finish like that, not because you are worn out, but because you have faithfully walked to the end of the path I entrusted to you. My beloved child, when you keep your heart steadfast, I will add strength to you. Every step you take in exhaustion is a step I am lifting by my grace. Lift your eyes to me, not to everything around you. When you look to me, you will see the storm begin to fade and your soul return to peace. You keep in perfect peace the one whose mind stays fixed on you, because that person trusts in you. Do not forget this. No turn in the road is meaningless. Every drop of sweat on the path of faith is seen by me. Every tear is counted. Every hidden struggle is known. And when you finally pass through that stretch of road filled with distractions, you will understand what I was training in you. It was not merely the strength to run. It was the strength to stand. After every gust of wind is past, what remains is not the one who ran the fastest, but the one who kept their heart faithful. So let your heart be still in me, because ahead of you, you will need that steadfastness to walk through deeper silences and greater trials. My child, do not be afraid when the light seems to grow dim. Only in the deepest night does my light shine most clearly. Keep walking not because you still feel strong, but because I am still walking with you. The place you think is the end is actually the beginning of a new chapter in your journey of faith. There, I will teach you that true faith is not measured only by endurance, but also by your ability to remain at peace in the middle of the storm. Do you know what sometimes weighs down your soul more than the storm itself? The silence. My silence can confuse you. It can make you feel like a child standing in the dark, unsure whether their father is still nearby. You have prayed, you have cried out, you have waited. Still, the answer has not come. So you begin to wonder if I have turned my face away. You begin to ask, have you forgotten me? But my child, I have never left you. It is often in the longest pauses that I am working more deeply than ever. The God who watches over Israel never grows tired and never sleeps. When I am silent, it does not mean I am absent. When you do not hear me, it does not mean I do not hear you. My silence is not indifference. It is the sacred space where I am weaving wonders with threads you cannot yet see. I know pain can make you feel abandoned. When you cry and no one answers, when you are wronged and no one defends you, when you look around and see only the unfairness of life, your heart may begin to close. But my child, do not let pain make you bitter. Do not let your tears become salt that dries out your soul. Every tear you shed I keep in my bottle. Every sorrow is written before me. Not a single sigh from your heart is meaningless. All of it is becoming seed, and at my appointed time, those seeds will break open into a harvest of blessing. You often think suffering is punishment, but in truth, suffering can become the classroom of love. In your pain, I teach you what comfort alone could never teach. I teach you to recognize what is temporary and what is eternal. I teach you to value the small things you once took for granted. When you suffer, your prayers become more honest. Your forgiveness becomes more tender, and your love becomes deeper. I do not create pain to torment you. I allow trials to refine you. Just as gold must pass through fire to shine, your soul must pass through trials to be made pure. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces proven character, and proven character produces hope. So do not fear pain. Fear only a heart that becomes hard inside that pain. I know there are moments when you sigh and say, "Lord, I cannot take this anymore." But my child, that may be the very place where you are closest to seeing me work my greatest miracle. The enemy knows this well. That is why he keeps whispering. If God loves you, why does he let you hurt so much? He wants you to forget that true love is not the absence of every wound. True love is my presence within every wound, transforming it into grace. Joseph was sold as a slave, yet I raised him to be a ruler. Job lost everything, yet I restored him beyond what he had known before. In the same way, you will one day see that what I allowed you to lose was never lost in vain. You do not understand now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Sometimes you want me to speak immediately, act immediately, and prove myself immediately. But if I answered every time you wept, you would know me only as the giver of gifts, not as your father. I want you to learn to trust me even when you hear nothing. True faith is not born only in miracles. It is formed in silence. When you continue to stand firm, even though you cannot yet see the way, that is when your faith shines brightest. I am the one who goes before you. I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. I have promised, and my promise never fails. My beloved child, do not be afraid when tears keep falling. They do not make you weaker. They soften your soul so I can touch it more deeply. The world teaches you to be strong by hiding your pain, but I teach you that weakness turned toward me becomes the truest strength. When you weep in my arms, I turn those tears into oil that anoints your soul. And when you rise, you will no longer be the person you were before. Tears are never useless. They either water life or drown the soul. I want you to choose life. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. I see the moments when you try to appear strong, forcing a smile while your heart is shattered. Do you think I do not know? I know everything, and I have compassion on you. You do not have to hide your tears from me. I do not despise your weakness. In that very weakness, I reveal my power. When you let go, I can finally take hold. When you stop straining, I can lift you up. I do not ask you to wear a forced smile in the middle of pain. I only ask you to keep holding my hand, even if your hand is trembling. My child, stop seeing pain as a period at the end of your story. Begin to see it as a comma in the story I am still writing. When you believe everything is over, I am opening a new chapter. Every season of pain carries a hidden seed, the seed of restoration, blessing, renewed faith, and deeper love. One day when you look back, you will smile and say, "So it was there that God was not silent at all. He was writing the deepest part of my story." And when you finally understand the true meaning of silence, you will no longer be afraid of it. You will begin to see pain as a companion and tears as seeds. Because you will know that every time you lose something, I am preparing a new fullness for you. The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. When you keep your heart tender, even while you weep, you are sowing into a coming season of joy. Then you will understand that my silence is not me withdrawing from you. It is me stepping back so you may grow. Pain is not a sign of distance. It is a torch lighting the way for your soul to recognize what is real and what is false. When you learn to see it this way, you will pass through seasons of testing with a lighter heart, because you will know that every time I seem silent, I am drawing nearer than ever. My beloved child, the journey of faith does not end with endurance alone. It leads you into the deeper understanding that every wound carries a sacred purpose. and it is through those very cracks that my light enters. So guard your heart in peace. Beyond pain there is glory. After silence, my gentle voice will come, the voice that only souls who have once wept in my hands can truly recognize. My child, I have seen every tear you shed when you were misunderstood. I have heard every choked sob when you were excluded. I have watched every moment you remained silent beneath the contempt of others. I know this pain runs deeper than words, because it touches the very sense of worth you believed was yours. You begin to ask, if God loves me, why does he allow me to be so despised? But my dear one, it is in the very place where you are rejected that I am laying the foundation for your vindication. Whoever humbles himself will be exalted. You are not brought low to be shamed. You are brought low so I may lift you up in a way no one expects. Injustice is not a sign that I have withdrawn my hand. It is the soil I am plowing deeply, planting seeds of glory that only I can see. I know that when you are treated unfairly, your first instinct is to defend yourself and prove your innocence. But my child, every time you insist on justifying yourself, you place yourself on the same level as those who hurt you. You lower your voice to argue with the noise of this world. Do not repay evil with evil. Leave room for the justice of God. I do not ask you to be silent because you are weak. I ask you to be still because I want the voice of your vindication to come from my mouth, not from your wounded heart. When you remain silent, I speak for you. When you stop reacting, I act, and my word of defense will always thunder louder than any accusation. My beloved, do not think I do not see. Every time you are ignored despite doing your best, I am there. Every time others mock, judge, or belittle your heart, I take note. I do not forget. I simply have not spoken yet. If I vindicated you while you were still angry, you might use that victory to gloat instead of glorify me. But when you become quiet enough to bear both silence and injustice while keeping your heart pure, that is when I can release justice to you by the hand of heaven. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Your waiting is not in vain, for my justice is never late. It arrives at the exact time appointed in the Spirit. Do you know that the moments of humiliation, rejection, and being looked down upon are the very places where I am carving out your true identity? You once thought your worth depended on how others saw you, but I allowed them to turn their backs so you would learn to see yourself in my light. When every door you seek is closed, I want you to realize that one door remains open, the door of my heart. If God is for us, who can be against us? You do not need the world's approval. You only need me to know who you are. When you stand in the place I have appointed for you, no accusation is strong enough to pull you away from it. My child, do not let your wounds turn you cold. Many people, after being hurt, build stone walls around their hearts and call it strength. But those walls do not only keep people out, they also shut out my light. I want you gentle, not bitter. I want your heart to remain like good soil, soil that, even after being trampled, can still bring forth life. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. True strength is not hardness. True strength is the ability to keep loving even after you have been wounded. Let me heal you, instead of binding yourself with hatred. If you keep looking through the lens of bitterness, you will never see the glory I am preparing for you. I do not allow anyone to hurt you without purpose. Every act of contempt carries meaning in my hands. When you are pushed out, I am removing you from places that were never meant for you. When you are slandered, I am teaching you to stand firm without needing applause. When you are misunderstood, I am training you to understand others more deeply. Do not call this failure. It is training. My child, those I intend to use for great things, I often lead through seasons of deep humiliation. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. You must die to the need for human recognition, so you can be born into the recognition of heaven. My dear one, I have seen you try to prove you are right, only to discover that the more you speak, the more misunderstood you become. You grow tired and want to give up, but I want you to know this. Your silence is not weakness. It is strength reserved for the right time. Some things are meant to be proven only by fruit. As time passes, the outcome of your life will become your vindication. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree and grow like a cedar of Lebanon. Let me prove you through blessing, not through arguments. I do not want you to lock yourself inside the label of the wounded one. If you allow the past to define you, you will never see the future I am opening before you. Do not let the contempt in other people's eyes become the mirror of your life. You were not born to answer scorn. You were born to reflect my glory. When I look at you, I do not see someone pitiful. I see a warrior being forged in the fire. You are my treasured possession. I have chosen you not because you are strong, but because I love you. And when the day of your vindication comes, you will understand why I asked you to be silent. When you were brought low, I had already written the day you would be lifted up. When you were rejected, I had already prepared a place where you would be honored. When others despised you, I was laying the foundation for a new position that only grace could open. In that moment, you will no longer crave revenge. You will no longer need to prove yourself. My peace within you will be so deep that you will need no other word. One day, you will realize that the wounds that once made you ashamed are the very places where my light shines through most powerfully. It is in humiliation that I teach you true honor. It is in rejection that you learn what it means to be chosen. What I am doing now, you do not yet understand. But afterward, you will understand. And when that day comes, you will no longer wish to hide your past, because you will see clearly that I used every wound to sculpt a new person within you. My child, do not close your heart. Do not let pain define you. Let me use that very pain as the launching place that carries you into a season of vindication. What you call humiliation today is the red carpet I am laying for the day I will honor you. Joseph was once thrown into a pit, yet that very pit became part of the road that led him to the palace. When you understand this, you will no longer fear contempt. You will know that every scornful word only strengthens the foundation beneath the honor I am preparing for you. And when you rise from every injustice, you will walk more lightly, with a wider heart and clearer eyes. You will understand that true vindication does not come when others change their minds about you. It comes when your own heart is transformed. When you learn to see everything through my eyes, nothing will wound you the way it once did. In that moment, you will enter another season, a place where pain is no longer a burden, but a mark of grace. There you will understand that being despised for my name is not a loss, but a sacred honor. And from that deep gratitude, you will begin moving forward gently, knowing that the journey does not end with vindication. It leads even further, to the place where you learn one of the most important lessons of all. Do not fear people's contempt. Fear missing the moment when I open the door to defend you and lead you into the glory I prepared for you long ago. My beloved child, there is an invisible yet powerful chain that binds many feet, the fear of people's gaze. You often fear what others may say or think about you more than you fear grieving my heart. There are moments when I urge you to step forward, speak a word, or stand on the side of truth. Yet inside you, another voice rises. What if they laugh at me? What if someone dislikes me? What if they misunderstand? My child, when you allow the voice of people to become louder than my word, you hand the steering wheel of your life to those who are just as fragile as you are. They loved human praise more than the praise that comes from God. I do not want you to walk that path. What is truly frightening is not that people may dislike you. What is truly frightening is allowing that fear to pull you away from the very place where I long to defend you and lift you up. I know there are scratches on your heart, the times you were mocked, looked down on, and called names you can never forget. Those memories have made you shrink back and live small, just enough to avoid being noticed, just enough to feel safe. But my child, you were not created to live beneath the shadow of people's judgments. When you allow one comment, one cold attitude, or one criticism to decide who you are, you have forgotten my voice calling you beloved. Yes, I am the one who comforts you. Why then are you afraid of mere mortals who must die? Why do you forget the Lord who made you? Your fear of people grows only when the image of me in your heart becomes small. I do not condemn you for that, but I long to heal it. Look back for a moment. How many times have you clearly known what was right, yet did not dare to do it because you feared how others would look at you? I stirred you to forgive, but you feared people would call you weak. I called you to step out and serve, but you feared they would say you were showing off. I placed a testimony in your heart, but you were afraid to share it because someone might laugh. My child, if you are still trying to please people, how can you fully serve Christ? I do not want you to be a slave to public opinion. When you have been called to live as a child of the King, small acts daring to confess my name in a crowd, daring to share what I have spoken, daring to stand on the side of truth, are spiritual signatures that show you have chosen me over your own sense of safety. My child, I want to lift you up. I want to bring you out of the dark corners of shame and into the place of honor I have prepared for you. I want to defend you, open doors no one can close, and show both you and others that I am with you. See, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. But if I open the door and you still stand outside because you fear people's comments, you will watch blessings pass right before your eyes. I will not force you to step through. I invite you, and the deepest regret will not be, I never had a chance. It will be, God opened the door, but I did not dare to walk through it. My child, the fear of people's opinions will shrink as your holy reverence for me grows. When you realize that my eyes rest on you more gently than any other gaze, you will become less shaken by frowns, whispers, and criticism. I am not asking you to despise others. I am asking you to put every gaze in its proper place. My gaze is the one that ultimately matters. I am the one who judges, not people. I remind you of this so you will know that your final worth is not defined by the crowd. When you dare to live according to what I say, even when others do not yet understand, you step into a new realm of freedom, a place where your heart is no longer controlled by anyone's smile or scowl. And if you dare to choose me over human opinion, you will see something remarkable happen. The very people who once despised you will have to look again. The very places that once closed against you will be forced to open. The very stories that once made you bow your head will become testimonies of my grace. I will use your life as an answer to many questions. I will prove that whoever fears me and obeys my voice will never truly lose in the end. On that day, what makes you tremble will no longer be people's words. It will be a holy reverence, a fear of missing what I want to do, a fear of dragging your feet when I have already spoken. From there, you will walk into new stages, no longer bound by public opinion, but with the light heart of a child who knows they are walking in the Father's will. You will walk through the very doors I myself have opened in the very hour of my vindication. My beloved child, tuck my words deep inside your heart. Hold them the way someone cradles a small lamp on a stormy night. Keep walking, because what is coming will not only change your outward circumstances, it will change the way you see yourself, the way you see me, and the way you see the journey you are on. This is not just a beautiful sentence meant to comfort you. It is a real signal in the spiritual realm. You are much closer than you think. There are things I have not yet shown you clearly, because if you saw everything, you would no longer need faith. But today, I lift the curtain just a little. You are not standing at the beginning. You are standing near the end of a stage. You have reached a point where each small decision, each ordinary choice, can determine whether you step into what I have planned or step away from it. That is why you must not despise this moment. Do not take lightly what I am whispering in your heart right now. I have seen many generations pass before. My eyes, so many faces, so many stories, so many hearts that once burned brightly and then slowly faded. I have seen those who were only a short distance from breakthrough turn back out of weariness. I have seen those who gave their youth to obey me, who endured shame, wounds, and loneliness, yet gave up when they were close to restoration. They stood before a field, golden and ready for harvest, but turned away because they believed that harvest was not meant for them. Some stood right at the bridge I had built, yet walked back because they thought the other shore was too far. My child, the greatest pain is not never tasting blessing. It is coming so close and never touching it. It is stretching out your hand, then pulling it back. I do not want your life to become an almost story. I do not want heaven to speak your name with sorrow and say, that one came so close, but their heart would not take the last few steps. You must understand this. The final stretch of the road is always where the wind blows strongest. Like a long-distance runner nearing the finish line, that is where the lungs burn, the legs tremble, the heart races, and everything inside wants to stop. It is the same in the spiritual realm. When my promise is about to be revealed, the pressure around you often increases, not decreases. The opposing voices grow louder. Unexpected troubles come in waves. Nameless anxieties flood your mind. But this is not a sign that I am withdrawing. It is a sign that the enemy knows it is about to lose. So it fights harder one last time. It cannot close the door I have opened, but it can try to drag you away from the threshold through distraction, doubt, irritation, comparison, and self-pity. It will use everything that has ever wounded you to bring old memories back to the surface, making you forget what I have spoken and remember only what the world has done to hurt you. I do not say this to frighten you. I say it to awaken you. If your mind feels noisier these days, if your heart feels more unsettled than before, it does not necessarily mean you are on the wrong path. It may mean you are very close to a spiritual turning point. I have watched many people trust me for years, only to suddenly allow doubt to take the center of their hearts. At first, it was only a few passing thoughts. Maybe God never meant this for me. Maybe I misheard him. Maybe I have been waiting in the wrong place. Little by little, those questions stopped being passing thoughts and became the foundation for their decisions. They began to act out of fear instead of standing on my word. They chose quick fixes, easier routes, and doors that looked wide open before them, but were not doors I had opened. They accepted less because they no longer believed I still had more for them. My child, my heart aches when I see my children take those shortcuts, because shortcuts often lead to dead ends. The path I choose may seem winding and slow, but it always reaches the destination I prepared. I have also seen hearts become so exhausted from waiting that they give themselves permission to turn aside. They say, I will take care of myself, because it seems God is not taking care of me. So they step into relationships I did not send. They accept jobs I did not lead them to. They sign small compromises that their conscience knows are wrong, then soothe themselves by saying, at least I will suffer less than I do now. But they do not realize that each choice is pushing them farther away from the orbit of my promise. I have not abandoned them. They have simply left the place where I had prepared something better for them. I look at them and wish they had waited just a little longer. I wish they had dared to believe that I truly loved them as I said. I wish they had let me hold their hand a little longer before letting go and running after what their eyes could see. My dear child, I tell you this not so you will feel superior, but so you will understand that no one is immune to the temptation to quit near the end, not even you. Yet unlike many others, you are being warned ahead of time. I am drawing you back with my word at the very moment when many can no longer hear it. What does that mean? It means I have not abandoned you. It means I still value your journey. It means I am looking at you with hope, not disappointment. If I were indifferent, I would simply let you drift with your own weary thoughts. But today, I am calling you by name to remind you that you are not an outsider to my plan. You belong in my story, and that story is not over, even if you feel too tired to keep reading. When I say, do not lose heart, for your reward will be very great, I am not speaking empty words. I truly see a reward waiting for you, even if your eyes cannot see it yet. Therefore, my child, receive this word not only with your ears, but with your heart. Do not merely nod and then forget. Let it take root. Remind yourself every day, I am closer to the promise than I think. I will not walk away from the place God has put me. Let your mouth speak differently from your feelings. When your heart wants to give up, that is when you must say even more firmly, Lord, I am weak, but you are strong. I am tired, but I choose not to quit. When your thoughts begin to slip away from my path, bring those thoughts before me and speak honestly. I am doubting. Please heal me of this doubt. I do not despise hearts that dare to bring even their weakness to me. You only shut me out when you pretend to be strong, while quietly drifting far from me. Remember all the stages of the road you have already walked with me. Remember the times I rescued you from situations that seemed hopeless. Remember the moments you thought you would collapse for good, yet somehow you were still standing. The moments when you realized an unseen hand had pulled you out of the worst were not merely sweet memories to tell as comforting stories. They were markers I placed along your path so that today, when you feel weary, you can look back and remember, I have never failed to keep my word. If I did not abandon you in your darkest days, why would I abandon you now when the road ahead is about to shine? If I stayed beside you when you had nothing to offer and nothing to boast about, why would I step away when you are about to enter a harvest season? Use the memory of my past grace to answer today's fears. Use what I have already done to remind your heart that I will act again in my way and in my time. Look at your fear and distraction with different eyes. They are not signs that you have failed. They are mirrors showing how deeply you need me right now. When you feel like running away, hiding, or withdrawing, that is exactly when you need to run closer and sit longer at my feet. Do not think you must feel strong before you come to me. Come exactly as you are. Come trembling. I can embrace a shaking heart. I can gather hopes that are beginning to fray. I can lift those who almost no longer want to stand. I am not asking you for perfect faith. I only ask that, in all your imperfection, you keep holding my hand even if you can only hold on by a tiny thread of hope. My child, I say this with all the love of a father. Do not write your own name among those who stopped when only a few steps remained. Do not let the angels whisper. They ran well but stopped just before dawn. Do not let the story of your life end with, they once believed, once served, once endured, but did not go to the end. I want your story to be written differently. Though weary, this one still clung to God's word, stood firm to the end, and saw what God had promised become reality. That is why I am speaking to you now, so that nothing within you can excuse itself by saying, I did not know, no one reminded me. Understand this clearly. What I am preparing for you is not just a temporary miracle. It is a transformation of life from the inside out. I do not only want to change your position, your circumstances, your finances, or your relationships. I want to change the way you believe, the way you love, and the way you see me. What is coming is not a gift for you to show off to others. It is a divine arrangement that will teach you how to truly live as a child of God in this world. And to step into it, you need something very simple, yet very difficult. Do not turn your back in the critical moment. Let me hold you. Stop pulling your hand away. You have come this far. Do not let weariness and distraction steal the fruit of so many years of tears, prayers, and faithfulness. I am here beside you not to tell you a pretty story, but to take your hand and say, walk on with me. Do not stop now, my child. I have watched many people stretch out their hands until they were almost touching what I promised, only to slowly let go. Not because the promise changed, but because they believed the poisonous whisper that I had left them, that I had forgotten their tears, their prayers, and the nights they knelt before me. Some had gone very far. They had been faithful and steadfast for many years. They had sown with sweat and tears. Yet just before the harvest appeared on the horizon, they turned their backs on the very field they had plowed. They walked away empty-handed, then concluded that I was unfair. I looked upon them with deep sorrow, because with just a little more endurance, just one more act of standing firm, they could have held in their hands the sheaves they themselves had watered through sleepless nights. That is why today I speak to you gently, but firmly. Not to scold you, but to awaken you. I do not want your heart to fall into the same pit of despair where so many others have slipped. I do not want you to become one of those who stop at the very threshold I am opening. The fact that you are hearing these words right now is not an accident. It is not something you simply happen to scroll past. It is not just another random message in an ocean of information. This is a spiritual appointment I have arranged with you so that, at the very moment you think you are about to collapse, you would hear my voice calling you by name. I, your God, know the slow-burning weariness inside you. I know the kind of tiredness that does not only live in your body, but in your hope, the hope that has been disappointed so many times that you now shrink back from expecting anything at all. I know how many times you have silently told yourself, maybe this is far enough. Maybe God did not intend this for me. Your smile has faded. Your prayers have grown shorter. Your heart has closed itself off from greater things. But my child, the place you call a dead end is often the very turn in the road that leads into a new land, and it is precisely there that the battle becomes fiercer than ever. The enemy of your soul is not afraid of your shallow steps at the beginning. He fears your trembling steps that still cling to me near the end. He is not afraid of your hasty promises when everything feels exciting. He fears your quiet perseverance on the days when nobody sees you. He knows better than anyone that when you keep holding my hand until the very last moment, no power can stop me from completing what I have spoken. That is why he does not waste his strength trying to fight my hand, because he cannot. Instead, he throws every attack at your heart so that you will be the one to let go. He uses everything. The mocking laughter of people, rumors whispered behind your back, contemptuous looks, comparisons that make you feel small, and casual words that pierce old wounds. He uses all of it to convince you that you are unworthy, unloved, and too late. He whispers, "See, God is not defending you. He is not with you like he said. If he were truly with you, why would you have to wait this long? Why would you have to feel so ashamed in front of so many people?" Then he drags out your past, your failures, and your old mistakes, pressuring you to agree with his conclusion: God has forgotten you. My child, I want you to know this. Whenever those voices grow louder than mine, you are stepping into one of the fiercest battlefields of your spiritual life. It is no coincidence that just as you are about to break through old limits, waves of criticism, doubt, and confusion come crashing in. It is no accident that just as I am opening a door, your fear of people's opinions suddenly grows larger than ever before. The enemy cannot lock the door I have opened. He can only make you stand on the threshold and step back because you are afraid of public opinion, afraid of losing your image, afraid of being misunderstood. He cannot extinguish the lamp I have lit for you. But he will do everything he can to make you cover your own light so it will not be seen. He understands very well what I have spoken. Whoever endures to the end will be saved. So his entire strategy is aimed at those three words, to the end. He knows how to get you to give up just a little before the breakthrough, then a little more, and then a little more, until you walk completely off the battlefield while still telling yourself, I am only taking a short break. That is why today, I am not speaking to you with a tone of rebuke. I am speaking as a father sitting beside a weary child, gently placing my hand on your shoulder and whispering, My child, do not believe all that noise around you. Look into my eyes. I am still here. I have not forgotten you. I want you to understand that the feeling of abandonment is not proof of my absence. It is only a mist the enemy blows into your face to blur your vision. The spiritual reality is the exact opposite. When you think I am farthest away, I am watching you most closely. Like a farmer standing silently at the edge of his field, observing every tiny movement of the seed he has sown, I am watching and waiting for what I planted in you to break open. You do not see me rushing in because there are battles I want you to walk through with me, not merely stand outside and wait for the outcome. There are moments when I allow you to reach the very edge of your own strength, so you will finally understand that your survival has never depended on your strength at all. Do you remember when Peter walked on the water? He took several steps inside the miracle. But when the wind rose, he began to look at the waves, the force of the storm, and his own weakness. Then he started to sink. I was there from the moment he lifted his foot out of the boat until the instant he was about to go under. I was waiting for him to cry out, Lord, save me. And immediately I stretched out my hand and took hold of him. You are standing in that same place now, the place where the wind blows stronger, the waves rise higher, and your heart trembles more. Not because I have left you, but because you have stepped out of your comfort zone. If you turn back to the boat now because of fear, you may spend the rest of your life saying, The Lord never let me walk on water, when in truth, you were the one who pulled your foot back halfway. I do not want that story to be repeated in you. I do not want you to become a witness of retreat. I want your life to become living proof that an ordinary, weak person who dares to cling to my word in the middle of mocking laughter and skeptical glances can be lifted by my hand and led through doors they never even dared to dream of. That is why, when you hear these words, I ask you not to listen only with your ears. Let them reach the deepest place in your heart, the place where you have quietly agreed with lies that say, I only bother God. I do not deserve blessing. There is nothing special about me. I want to cut those sentences off at the root, because they do not come from me. I call you my beloved child. I say you are my treasure, the one I have chosen. I affirm that I am with you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. I have engraved your name on the palms of my hands. How could I ever forget you? Look back over the journey you have already walked. If I have upheld you through so many waves before, could it be that now, when the shore is near, I would leave you to drift away? The only thing that can truly cause you to lose your way is not my hand letting go. It is you choosing to believe the noise over my word. It is fearing people's displeasure more than missing the hour when I rise to defend you. Therefore today I invite you not with a shout, but with a whisper to rise once more. Loosen the cords of human opinion wrapped around your heart. Turn your face away from the crowd and lift your eyes to me. There, in my gaze, you will understand that you are loved far more than you ever thought, expected far more than you imagined, and that a new season is truly drawing nearer than you can picture. Do not let go now, my child. The place you think is the end of your story is actually the first page of the new chapter I am about to write for your life. One day, when you look back, you will realize that if you had bowed your head in fear of people on this day, you would have missed the very moment when I stepped forward to defend you before them. My child, what I want you to see now is no longer what people are saying. I want you to recognize what is happening at a deeper level in your soul, and in the spiritual realm your eyes cannot yet see. Your enemy is cunning. He does not always use great sins or obvious temptations to strike you down. Sometimes he drips small streams of scattered thoughts into your mind, vague anxieties, endless what-if questions, and countless tasks that seem urgent but are actually trivial. He keeps your heart tangled like a ball of string, leaving no room for peace and no space for my gentle whisper. He pulls you into conversations that produce nothing but irritation. Pointless arguments just to prove you are right. Insults that keep you busy explaining yourself. Scratches to your pride that steal hours from your mind as you wonder how people see you. Meanwhile, the things that truly belong to eternity, the things I have sown in you through tears, through the nights you knelt, through the moments you chose obedience even when it cost you, are slowly pushed to the margins. I want you to understand this. Every time you allow your heart to drift with those waves of distraction, you are unintentionally trading an entire season of blessing for a few minutes of satisfaction, a few compliments, or a brief feeling of false safety. And that is an exchange you will regret when you look back. My beloved, throughout your journey with me, there have always been decisive moments, sacred hours I marked and set apart to reveal what I had long prepared for your life. These moments are rarely loud. They are not announced with trumpets. They do not always come when the stage lights are brightest. More often, they arrive quietly, in silence. After a long season of faithfulness without visible results, this is one of those moments. I have ordered your steps. I have shaped within you a teachable heart. I have allowed you to walk through injustice, silence, and tears, so the roots of your faith would grow deep. And now, I am opening before you a door that belongs uniquely to you, a door tied to your story, your wounds, and your prayers. No one else can walk through it in your place. There is no duplicate. I call this a set-apart time. It is not a random stretch of your life. It is the meeting point between my promise and your response. But if, in this very hour, you lock your heart away and retreat into a shell of safety because you are afraid of public opinion, tired, weary, or distracted by the noise around you, then it is as though you gather up all the years you lifted your face to me in tears, all the nights you believed in the dark, and all the precious things you sacrificed for my sake, and throw them into a forgotten corner as though they never mattered. I say this not as a stranger giving advice, but as the one who has walked with you step by step. I know every night you wanted to give up but still clung to me. Therefore, I have the right and the authority to warn you. Do not waste the golden hour of your soul on passing voices. This is not the time to keep turning left and right, studying people's faces to see who supports you, who is silent, who criticizes, and who praises. Nor is it the time to analyze yourself into exhaustion, asking why this happened, why that has not changed, or why someone treated you the way they did. The more you try to uncover every reason, the more you will be pulled into a circle of speculation and sorrow with no way out. What you need most now is to reset the center of your soul. Keep the inner eyes of your heart fixed on what I have placed before you, on the words I have spoken in Scripture, and on the confirmations I have repeated through circumstances, dreams, and people I used to encourage you. If you press your ear against the noise of this world, the news, public opinion, harsh criticism, sarcasm, loveless judgment, and unfair comparison, then my whisper in the depths of your heart will be drowned out, not because I have stopped speaking, but because you have chosen another channel to listen to. If you allow discouragement, pessimism, and self-pity to cover you like a heavy garment, you may easily make the dangerous decision to let go of the promise right when it is about to take form. It would be like a farmer who sowed all season and watered the field with sweat and tears, but because he grew tired and assumed nothing would happen, abandoned his field, just before the harvest, and then watched someone else walk in and reap what he had cultivated. But if you patiently remain with me, not in a tense, strained way, but in deep inner rest, choosing to believe that I am still working even when your emotions rise and fall, you will see that none of it was wasted. Every day of waiting, every time you held your tongue instead of speaking bitter words, every moment you chose obedience over emotion, all of it is being woven into the very answer you long for. And when your eyes finally see what I have done, you will exclaim, "Not a single hour was wasted." My child, the harvest season in your spiritual life is no longer far away. What I have sown in you through years of testing by fire has ripened. The fragrance of answered prayers is already in the air. That is exactly why the enemy is more frantic than ever. He intensifies his attack on your thoughts. He floods your mind with confusion. He magnifies criticism and makes small matters seem enormous, all for one purpose: to drag you out of the field I have long allowed you to cultivate with me. He whispers that the deep impressions you have felt that I am about to move are nothing more than emotions. He tells you that your hope is only your imagination trying to comfort itself, that nothing is really changing, and that it is better not to hope than to risk disappointment again. If you listen, you will close the lid over what I am forming in the invisible realm. But I affirm this to you. Those deep stirrings in your heart, those moments when unexplainable faith rises within you when there is no reason left to hope, those dreams, those scriptures that suddenly light up exactly when you need them, they are not stage props created by passing emotion. They are signals I am sending ahead of time. They are prophetic markers, showing that the door I prepared for you is slowly opening. This is not merely a pleasant feeling after an inspiring message. It is a spiritual reality shifting. It is my plan reaching a turning point. It is my hidden arrangements coming close to the place where your eyes will finally see them. The clock of my appointed time does not stand still. Whether you notice it or not, the flow of my time continues moving forward. Every moment, whether you are believing or doubting, is carrying you closer to the place where I will act on your behalf. Not because you are worthy, but because I am faithful to my own word. For that reason, I plead with you like a father begging his child not to fall asleep. Do not let your mind remain occupied by low noises. Do not let your heart be manipulated by the fear of people. Stay awake. Reset your priorities. Let the full attention of your inner being turn back to me. The moment when I defend you and lift you through the door I have opened will not wait until you are finished being busy with every meaningless whisper of the world. My beloved child, after everything I have told you about the gaze of people and the voices that can pull your heart away from me, I now want you to pause and truly listen. This moment is not an accident. It is a time I have intentionally arranged. This is not just a small part of the story. It is a spiritual crossroads where you must choose. Either keep living as before, half believing and half afraid, half listening to me and half fearing people, or decide to lean wholly toward me, despite what your eyes can see. I am placing before you a moment more precious than gold. Not because your outward circumstances are beautiful, but because in this very instant, I am gently knocking on the door of your heart once again. Do not assume you will have countless such knocks in your life. There are hours I set apart for a true turning point. And if your heart is sincere, you will recognize that this is one of those hours. Do not let your thoughts drift into the comfort of, "I'll deal with it later," because that is one of the enemy's most dangerous whispers. He does not always urge you to reject me. Sometimes he simply plants the thought, "There is no rush, tomorrow is fine." When life feels more stable, then I will get serious with God. But my child, it is often those harmless-sounding thoughts that have led many souls away from the good plans I prepared for them. Think about it. How many times have you intended to change, to live wholeheartedly, to return to me with all your heart, yet because you postponed just a little, everything gradually cooled? Eventually, you even forgot there had once been a promise between you and me. I do not say this to condemn you. I say it so you can clearly recognize the subtle scheme trying to lull your soul to sleep. Tomorrow does not always arrive the way you imagine. There are people who once said in their hearts that they would believe, obey, and return to me on some beautiful future day, but they never knew that day would never come in their spiritual life. Today, I am speaking to you, not so you will feel moved for a moment and then forget. I am speaking so you will realize this is a personal invitation addressed to you, not to an anonymous crowd, not to someone more spiritual, but to you, the one reading, thinking, and weighing so many things in your heart. I want you to understand that this present moment is grace. It is a gift I am placing in your hand. You can hold it tightly through a decision, or you can let it slip away through distraction. I will not force you, but I tell you plainly, if you keep stepping back, if you keep choosing silence in the face of my call, you will lose a very special season I am beginning in your life. Do not take the winding paths I have not shown you. There was a time when I placed a promise, a calling, and a direction in your heart. You know very well which way you are meant to walk. You simply have not dared to walk it. If you choose now to avoid it, keeping yourself busy with 1,000 things so you do not have to face my word, you will end up exhausted and without peace. I do not want your life to drift along in half-hearted decisions. I am calling you to stop. Lift your eyes to me and remember what I spoke to you in the beginning. My promise is not a bargaining chip for you to use with me, saying, if everything goes smoothly, I will obey. If not, I will wait for another time. My promise is the foundation on which you dare to step forward, even while there is still much ahead you do not understand. When I tell you to cling to my word, it is because I know there will be winds, there will be waves, there will be whispers that shake you. You cannot expect the path to be perfectly smooth, but you can expect a Lord who never changes. If you keep your heart turned toward me, if you keep your spiritual eyes fixed on the one who promised, then no storm will be strong enough to sweep you away. You will still see the waves. You will still hear the scorn of others. You will still endure delays that pierce your heart. But in the middle of all of it, you will recognize that my hand has never left yours. I have said that I am faithful, which means I am true to my own word. I do not take it back. I do not abandon what I have begun. What I ask of you is not perfection, but steadfastness, the decision that even when you are tired, you will not let go of my hand. Do not be overly troubled when others do not believe what I am doing in your life. They may laugh, they may not understand, they may treat the spiritual turning point you are experiencing as something small. But my child, they are not the ones who will walk with you to the end of the road. I am the one who will go with you into the deepest place of your soul. When I call you to stand firm and not be shaken, that is not a vague phrase meant only to comfort you. It is a way of life. As you remain in the place I have assigned you, even when the wind changes direction, you will gradually see what I have begun in you take shape, rise up, and bear fruit. There are things still hidden now, unseen by anyone. But in that hidden place, I am building a new future for you. I also know the anxiety in you when everything seems to slow down. You ask yourself, if this is my appointed time, why doesn't everything open at once? If this is truly a door the Lord has opened, why do I still feel so unsure? You forget that within every promise, there is always a period of preparation. A seed cannot blossom the moment it is sown. A child cannot run the moment it is born. Everything I build according to my timing needs a silent interval to sink deep roots, so that when it rises, it will not be easily uprooted. What you call delay, from my perspective, is often mercy. If I lifted you too quickly, you might not be able to bear the weight of the very blessing you have prayed for. I want you to mature through the process, not flare up for a brief moment only to burn out. So instead of sitting and counting the days until the miracle comes, I invite you to change the question while you wait. Ask instead, who is the Lord teaching me to become? When you ask this way, each day suddenly takes on meaning. The small things you do, the hours you remain faithful, the times you choose silence instead of retaliation, the moments you choose to stay present with me instead of running into distraction, all of these are shaping you into someone who can carry what I am about to entrust to you. That is how you keep your heart from being scattered. That is how you remain anchored to the center, which is me. And now, I am not only telling you to listen and keep these things for yourself, I am calling you to become a carrier of this message. When I touch you through these words, it is not only so you may be comforted, it is also so you may become a channel for others. When you bravely share what I am speaking, even if it is only one sentence, one paragraph, one simple thought, you are signing a spiritual covenant through your actions. You are saying to me, I do not only believe in secret, I dare to stand on what you have spoken. That is faith made visible. It is belief embodied in real life. It is no longer a passing feeling, but a decision that can be seen in your steps, your words, and your willingness to openly declare whom you belong to. You may think that sharing a message, a word of encouragement, a video, or a few lines of text is nothing important. But in the spiritual realm, those small acts are like planting a flag on the territory of your own life and declaring, "This ground belongs to the Lord." You are not only bearing witness to others, you are bearing witness to your own heart. Every time you dare to express your faith, the fear of people's opinions loses a little more of its grip. And every time you remain silent only because you are afraid of what others might think, that invisible cord tightens another loop around your heart. I am inviting you into freedom through small actions that carry great meaning. When you share what comes from me with reverence, not to show off, not to argue, not to prove yourself, you are showing heaven that you value my voice above every like, every comment, and every approval from the crowd. Instead of letting your mouth simply echo the noise of the world, you turn it into a channel for my living word. That is worship. It is also a quiet but powerful declaration that you do not want to miss the moment whose bell I have already rung. You are writing into the air, "I am no longer asleep. I want to stay awake and keep watch with you. I know that living this way will require you to wrestle within yourself. There will be moments when you feel awkward, embarrassed, or misunderstood. I see every hesitation, and I do not condemn you. Instead, I take your hand and say, take one small step at a time. I am walking with you. I do not demand that you instantly become someone who fears no one. I only ask that today you become a little less afraid than you were yesterday, a little less dependent on the gaze of others, and a little more willing to cling to me. Every small step is precious to me, because I know what you must overcome inside yourself in order to move forward. My beloved child, when I say, now is the time, I am not saying it to make you panic. I am saying it to pull you out of carelessness. I am not calling you into meaningless activity. I am calling you into an awakened mind and heart. To be awake means you no longer live merely by habit. You no longer do things simply because everyone else does them. Instead, you pause and ask me, Lord, what should I do with my life today? What do I need to obey today? When you live this way, every ordinary day becomes part of a prophetic moment. You are no longer being swept along by life. You are walking with the awareness that the one who loves you is guiding every step. So I whisper to you once more, do not let this moment pass like all the others. Let it become a landmark, the place where you decide that from now on, you will fear me more than public opinion. You will cling to my word more than to your feelings. You will dare to say yes as soon as you hear my voice, instead of waiting for a perfect day that may never come. From that decision, I will lead you into doors you cannot yet imagine. And when you look back, you will know that it was today, in this seemingly ordinary hour, that you responded to my gentle yet majestic call. It was the call that drew you out of distraction and into a season of awakening, a season of keeping watch with the Father of your soul. Therefore, after all you have endured the slanderous words, the doors that closed, the times you trembled beneath the gaze of others, what I am calling you to now is not perfection. I am calling you to guard what deserves to be protected. First, guard your inner life. The heart is where every decision is born. It is the place where the words I sow can either take root or be choked out. If you allow bitterness, humiliation, shame, and obsession with how people see you to fill that space, then no matter how often I speak, my words will only skim the surface. They will never sink deep. I want your heart to be soft, but not careless. Sensitive to the Holy Spirit, yet not fragile before every judgment. Your heart is like a field. If you do not watch over it, the weeds of comparison, inferiority, and doubt will quickly cover it, hiding the living shoots I have planted. I do not want your heart to become a battlefield for every opinion, every feeling, and every verdict. I want it to become a place where I can rest, a place where you can hear my heartbeat and learn to breathe in rhythm with it. Next, pay attention to what enters your ears. What you hear each day quietly shapes the way you see yourself and the way you see me. If you continually listen to criticism, sarcasm, and opinions that make you feel small and inadequate, sooner or later you will begin to believe that is truly who you are. I have said that faith comes by hearing, but fear, shame, and bondage can also enter through that same road. So I want you to learn discernment. Learn which voice comes from me and which voice is only the sound of hurt public opinion or people who themselves are still in chains. Whenever you hear a word that touches you, Ask yourself, does this draw me nearer to the Lord or push me away? Does it soften my heart or harden it? Does it remind me of grace or does it sow more fear? If a voice only makes you feel small in a destructive way, if it makes you want to hide from me instead of run toward me, then you can know it is not the voice of your Father. I am teaching you to close your ears to opinions that extinguish the flame and open them to words that build, correct, and heal in love, even when they hurt a little. Then, guard your focus. You are living in an age where everything competes for your eyes and your thoughts. Flashing notifications, new stories, comments, endless comparisons. All of it falls like a fine drizzle upon your mind, making it hard for you to remain still long enough to hear a full word from me. But my child, if you are not careful, that distraction will steal the moment of my movement in your life. The enemy does not need to drag you into obvious sin. He only needs to keep you busy with meaningless things long enough that, when my appointed hour comes, your gaze is fixed somewhere else. I want you to understand this. The minutes you spend focused before me with no screen, no noise, and no need to perform for anyone are the very minutes when heaven leans close to listen to you. In those quiet spaces, I realign your vision. I remind you of my promises. I reorder the chaotic pieces in your heart so you can see the picture I am painting. If you keep allowing yourself to be swept away, you may live your whole life in a state of almost understanding, yet never fully grasp what I am speaking. You need to know that the harvest I have promised you is not an empty metaphor. It is real, it is drawing near, and it has been prepared not only by what I have spoken, but also by all the times you remained faithful when no one was watching. Every time you forgave when you had every right to be angry, it was a seed. Every time you chose what was right when doing wrong would have been easier, it was a seed. Every time you kept silent and allowed me to defend you instead of defending yourself, it was a seed. Often, you think your efforts fall into nothingness. But in heaven, nothing falls and is lost. I have gathered every small action, every step taken without applause, every night you wanted to give up but still whispered, "Lord, I trust you." That is why I can tell you that the harvest is no longer just a possibility. It is a reality gradually unfolding. When the harvest comes, you will see that it was not the result of a sudden spiritual impulse. It was the fruit of all the years you walked persistently with me. That is why I earnestly urge you, do not let go simply because you are tired. Do not step back because you fear people's words. Do not lose your focus for the sake of a few glittering distractions in front of you. Your victory is much closer than you think. You believe you are still in the middle of the road, but in reality, you are already standing at a turning point. You think you are only just beginning, but I already see a field in full bloom stretched out before you. You did not arrive here by accident. If you look back, you will see a chain of steps you once thought were small, but I used each one to lead you to this very moment. Relationships came together and then separated. Doors opened and seemed as though they would stay open but then closed. Roads you thought were detours actually brought you nearer to me. None of these things were random mistakes. They are strokes in a picture only my eyes can fully see. You may think you only happened to pause, happened to listen, happened to hear these words. But I want you to know that in my world, chance does not exist for those who belong to me. You think this is just an ordinary moment, a small decision to open a video, read a passage, or listen to a sentence. But in heaven, this moment was scheduled long ago. I already knew the day you would feel weary, the hour you would waver, and the minute you would be ready to give up. At that precise point of weakness, I arranged for my word to touch the very place of pain in your heart. I do not always use great events to call you. Many times I use a quiet moment in the middle of all the noise when you are tired enough to stop pretending to be strong and wounded enough to finally hear the truth. This is such a moment. I want you to understand that what you are hearing now is not just a message, an emotional reflection, or a beautiful piece of inspiration. This is my confirmation that I see you. I have traced every step you have taken to arrive exactly where you are standing. When you hear the words, "Do not fear people more than me," and "Do not miss the hour when I open the door," they are not general pieces of advice. They are my hand resting on your shoulder as I speak to you by name. I am drawing you out of the fog of people's opinions and into the light of knowing that your Father in heaven sees you and calls you personally. My voice is not like the voice of the world. My voice is not based on your present merits, but on what I ordained for you from the beginning. I am the Lord your God. I do nothing without purpose. I do not speak a single word that does not carry eternal weight. When I allow a message to touch your heart, it is because I have hidden within it the answer to the confusion you are facing. I do not play with your tears. I do not play with your hope. If I remind you to guard your heart, your ears, and your focus, it is because I know exactly what threatens you in the season ahead. If I tell you victory is near, it is because I see the timelines you cannot see. You see only a present tangled with memories. I see the beginning, the middle, and the end all at once. I know precisely where you are likely to stumble, where you may turn back, and where you are tempted to stop because you fear people's words more than losing my voice. Therefore, do not take this moment lightly. Do not scroll past it as if it were merely good content and then leave it behind. Let these words sink into the places you usually keep closed. Let them question you. Who is directing your steps, the eyes of people or the eyes of your Father? Who is defining who you are, your past, the mockery, or the call of the one who created you? Be honest before me about your fear of public opinion. Be honest about the times you stayed silent because you were afraid of being criticized. Be honest about the dreams you hid away because you feared people's laughter. I do not despise those weaknesses. I simply do not want them to bind you any longer. When you dare to lay them bare before me, I begin to untie each knot, one by one. From this point on, what I long for is that you slowly shift from fearing what people think to fearing that you might miss what I am doing. I want you to tremble, not because of criticism, but because you realize that if you keep stepping back, keep hiding, and keep letting public opinion rule you, you may end up standing on the sidelines while I open doors for those who dare to trust me. I am not excluding you, but I will not force you either. I invite you into a new realm, the realm of those who dare to live for me rather than for their image in the eyes of others. There you will taste a sweet freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom of no longer being controlled by judgmental whispers. My child, treat my word to you today as a marker. From this point, you can choose to go on living as before, always looking over your shoulder, always weighing people's reactions before every step. Or you can begin asking a different question. Does this bring me closer to him? Does this restore his image in my heart, or does it distort it? If the answer points you toward me, then step forward boldly, even if people do not yet understand, even if some disagree. But if the answer only makes you look better in the eyes of others while dimming my voice within you, then you know you must let it go. I will not abandon a child who dares to choose me over safety. And as you walk forward from this moment, even if the change begins small in the way you think, the way you react, the way you face other people's opinions, remember that you are not walking alone. The one speaking to you now is the same one who will go with you through every hidden choice. I will bring these words back to your mind at the very moment you are about to slip into your old way of living. I will stir a holy discomfort in you whenever you agree to let public opinion rule your heart, not to crush you with guilt, but to remind you that you have been called to something deeper, stronger, and more beautiful than that. And little by little, you will see it. As your heart is guarded, as your ears learn discernment, and as your focus returns to the right place, the harvest I have spoken of will begin to take shape, not loudly, not ostentatiously, but clearly and surely. You will realize that no detail in your journey has been unnecessary. There has never been a moment when I came to you merely to fill an empty space. Each time I touch you, I turn your path a little. Each word I speak marks a new milestone on the road you are walking. The message you have just heard is one of those milestones, the place where you lift your head above the noise of people's voices and begin to fix your gaze more steadily on my eyes. These are the eyes of the one who has never done anything without embedding within it an eternal purpose for your soul. My child, when you dare to choose my voice over the noise of this world, something gentle yet profound begins to happen in your heart. The spiritual doors you once thought were locked will begin to open one by one, not because you have suddenly become more worthy, but because you are now standing in the right place to see my hand at work. There are opportunities I prepared for you long ago, but only when you stop bowing your head before public opinion and turn your face back toward me will you realize they have been there all along, waiting for you to step into them. You will begin to sense that it is not by chance when someone appears to support you. It is not an accident when an invitation is sent. It is not a coincidence when new crossroads open on the path you are walking. All of these are my quiet fingerprints. I have said, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. And when my eye is upon you, no slander, criticism, or human opposition can close the door I have opened. But my child, when you step into a season of open doors, that is also the very time you must guard your heart more carefully than ever. The enemy will not let you go simply because you have chosen me. He will look for another way to pull you out of focus. Sometimes he will use things that seem reasonable enough. He will whisper, pause a little, relax for a while, compromise just a little to make life easier. Slow down so you clash less with public opinion. Then days begin to repeat themselves. Work sweeps you into its cycle. Conversations lead nowhere. Endless hours disappear across a screen. At first, these things feel like a thin mist. But if you allow them to cover your heart too long, the flame I have kindled in you will slowly grow dim. You will not notice it all at once. The flame does not go out with one fierce gust of wind, but through 1,000 soft breezes of distraction. I remind you of this not to blame you, but to awaken you. Guard what is most precious, the burning devotion of your heart for me. I have spoken. Above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the springs of life. If you can guard your heart, you will be able to guard your whole path. My child, this is not a season for you to walk without direction. This is a season in which I want to lead you step by step in my light. You were not born to grope your way through darkness, walking and guessing, living in constant fear of being wrong. I have placed my Holy Spirit within you, not as an abstract idea, but as a real comforter and guide. There are moments when choices confuse you. You are unsure whether to turn left or right, whether to continue or stop. It is precisely in those moments that, if you are willing to be still long enough and turn back to ask me, you will realize that I am gently inclining your heart toward the right path. I do not always lead you by thunder. Often, I lead you by a gentle inner voice, a quiet prompting that makes you restless with what does not belong to you and gives you deep peace about what I have prepared. Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. Do not hold it as a mere token. Let it truly shine on each step before you. As you walk in my presence, you will discover that you no longer have to live by guesswork, but by the tender assurance that I am walking beside you. I know there are seasons when you feel as though you are merely existing instead of truly living. Day after day looks the same. Dreams seem to stand still. Promises feel delayed. I know there are nights when you lie down and quietly ask in your heart, Lord, is this enough? Am I really on the right path, or am I only comforting myself? In those moments, the voice of giving up often sounds the loudest. Weariness presses against your chest like a stone, trying to pin you down until you no longer want to try. But my beloved, right at the border between wanting to quit and choosing to rise one more time, heaven is watching you most closely. I tell you this, what you are facing is not a period at the end of the sentence. It is a colon opening into a new part of the story. What you are going through is not a wall at the end of the road. It is a disguised door. I allow you to reach the edge of your endurance not so you will break, but so you will clearly see where your strength ends and where my grace begins. Do not be quick to conclude the story when I have not yet written the final line. My child, there are things about to enter your life that you cannot yet imagine. Just as a child cannot comprehend the vastness of the sea after seeing only a small pond, you cannot yet contain all the works, relationships, doors, and opportunities I am preparing for you. If I told you everything now, your mind could not hold it. So instead of trying to figure everything out, learn to trust more deeply. I do not call you to explain every detail of my ways. I call you to walk in obedience even before you understand the whole picture. You may not understand why I seem slow, why I am silent, or why the road you walk is sometimes winding and steep. But you can choose to believe that I am never careless with any detail. My thoughts are not your thoughts, and your ways are not my ways. I did not give you these words so you would stop thinking. I gave them so you would recognize the limits of your own reasoning and lean more fully into my will. Do not let your heart be drained dry by questions I have not yet promised to answer.